right, everybody, man, I got a lady on the channel. She good looking. Oh my God, I can't. I'm so happy she's on Strong Inspirations. Oh my. Woo-wee. And let me tell you something, my friends. I found her from another lady that I interviewed, and she said, "Hey, you know, there's this bed and breakfast, motel, cottage. She'll tell you all the particulars of what they actually call themselves on the island that's been around a ton of years." And so you know, I looked into it and I finally got the lady come on the channel, and I'm so excited. She's gonna tell you this history that's phenomenal that's happened in her family. It's on one of them resort islands. I'm just giving you little tidbits, and then you'll figure it out once we go into the story. Let me say this to my friends. I'm excited that you're back with me again. You know, there's some good things happening. I had probably, and I'm always excited when people hit that subscribe button. I had 25 new subscribers last night. So to you, my brothers and sisters, I say hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, excuse me, hit the like button, hit the notifications bell, and tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. You know, I'm Anthony Brogdon, just a guy trying to keep Black history alive. And I got a few things that I do to do that. Is I have this channel where I interview people and I let them do the talking. I just come up with a few questions. How about this one? And this is huge in my account. We're working on it right now, my friends, for something that's going to happen about 8 months from now. I'm having a festival in Quindaro, Kansas. Quindaro is where the slaves walked across the water when it froze. And from Missouri to Quindaro, Kansas, right outside of Kansas City, Missouri. And we're going to have a festival there next year, 2022, Memorial Day weekend. We're putting it together right now, and it's going to be big. Watch out for that. And I'm going to do another one. I'm doing 2 of them next year. The infrastructure is already there. These people already do it. I'm just going to have y'all, ask you all to join me because I'm going. And come on down, let's hang out. Let's have a good time. That's 2022 because I'm growing in this thing, right? How about this? I've gotten some comments of people who like this channel. People are saying things, they following, they like these videos. And so I'm on to something, and you're gonna really like this one. So hit the like button, please, my friends. As I told you, I'm so serious about this Black history that it took me 2 years. And in 2017, I released this movie. It's a documentary called Business in the Black, The Rise of Black Business in America. It's streaming on Amazon. Slaves who went to college, slaves who owned businesses in the the 1800s, as far back as I go, slaves who bought their freedom. Y'all like, you like this. This is good. I'm telling you it's good. Not because I did it, but I had other people telling me it was good. And as so much so that I wrote the book on it. It's called Black Business Book. It's got over 200 facts. I'm telling you, if you know every fact in this book, I give your money back. I'm that confident. And every 10th book I sell, I donate one to a school. So I got a package of books going out next week when them schools really start getting going. If you buy 10 books, I donate one in your honor to your school. How about that? It's good. I'm telling you, the book's good. You need to get a copy of this. And both that and more information about what I'm doing is on my website, businessintheblack.net. Let me tell you, the lady sitting there, she's patient. I said, come on, give me another more, sisters. Give me one more minute, sister, please. Because you know what's happening is this sister is so, she's so excited to be on here. She done emailed me 20 times. She sent me pictures and everything. I said, okay, I can't wait till we do it. She done emailed me 20 times. She didn't email me from other people email. I got 3, 4 emails with her name on it. That's how people like this. That's how people want you to know these stories. And then after you know it, support her business when you in her area. How about that? Because from what I hear, it's first-class service. First-class service has come out of her situation. One more thing, how about this? You hear me tell the word strong a lot. Strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And that's my introduction to my guest. Come on, you strong sister. Tell us your name and where you at, and let's get it on.
Hello, everyone. I am Lee Jackson Van Allen. Currently, I'm in my home on Martha's Vineyard. I was born and raised in Malden, Massachusetts, which is 7 miles north of Boston. My parents were Doris and Herbert Jackson. I was married to David Van Allen and have 3 children, David Jr., Lauren, and Eric.
All right.
I'm of the Sher clan on Martha's Vineyard.
Okay, hold on. Let me stop you right there, because I do stop people every now and then. I got these questions that come in. I want to get on you just a little bit. Your family, do you know how they got to Boston?
Yes, well, this is sort of interesting story that my grandparents on my father's side were actually born enslaved in Athens, Georgia. He was a master tailor. He had a tailoring business actually on the University of Georgia, I've been told. And then in Athens, Georgia, he taught tailoring at Biddle University, which I believe is now Johnson C. Smith University. And they decided to move north for a freer, better life in the 1880s. They had 13 children.
Wow.
And my dad was their 13th child.
Right.
Born late in life.
Okay, let me stop you there. Now, he's a tailor and he's a slave. Enslaved.
He was born enslaved. Both of my parents were born enslaved.
Did he buy his freedom?
No, it was before emancipation. They were born in the 1850s. And so the emancipation gave them their freedom.
Do you got any idea how he learned how to be a tailor?
No, I don't know. I know he was a master tailor, but how he learned that skill, I am not sure. But he taught it to all his sons and other relatives in the family.
How about this one? I interviewed a guy who, when he did his genealogy, he went back and found out that his great-great-great-grandfather, what have you, was a carpenter and knew some architectural type stuff. And it passed along through his family. Did tailoring kind of go through your family in some regard? Do you like sewing yourself, that kind of thing?
No, I would say it pretty much stopped at my father's generation, but they were all taught tailoring. All the sons were taught tailoring, and my father had a very successful cleaning tailoring business.
Oh, there you go.
In the city of Malden, where I was raised.
And so he decided to go north, but this is after slavery ended, or he found a way to get there before slavery ended? Do you know that story?
1880s is when the Jacksons came to Malden, Massachusetts.
And do you know why there?
He came to Boston first, and he looked at, he visited various communities in the area, and why he chose that particularly, there were a few Black families in the city when he moved there, but that was what he chose.
Now, Boston, what was the attraction? Was it because of and for Black people in general, was it because it's close to the water and there was a lot of jobs working on the ships and that kind of thing, do you think?
Well, I think it was known as, for freedom. So many abolitionists lived there.
Oh, I got you.
It was a city that was known for that. And I think that's one thing that drew him to that greater Boston area.
I got you. Now, as you grew up there, did you, I guess maybe we think of it now, Boston, somewhat racist type town. Did you feel that growing up in Boston? Did you, have to live in a certain neighborhood and all that kind of thing?
Well, first of all, I grew up in Malden, which is 7 miles north of Boston. That's
Okay, so
number
it's
one.
a suburb.
It's a suburb.
Right.
But number two, my family was well known and highly respected. My father was born in 1908 in Malden, was the first Black president of his graduating high school class.
Oh, I love it.
And then he went on to be the first Black councilman elected from basically a 99% white community.
Really?
Councilman at large, and state representative from Malden. So our family was very well known and respected. And I must say, I was quite sheltered from racism. And I think that's because my father's family was well known and highly respected. And he was a powerful man in the city.
Wow, that's a beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
did you go to a school with other Black kids, or was it white kids, or mostly white? How did that go?
Mostly white. There were very, very few Blacks in Malden at that time. Now it's quite a multicultural city. And I believe it was in 1968, they named the council chambers after my father, the Herbert L. Jackson Council Chambers. And they just built a new city hall. And 2 weeks ago, they rededicated the council chambers in his name.
Whoa, I love it.
Mm.
I love it. So then you all go from Malden. Do you hang out in Boston growing up, or you kind of stay in that area?
No, I did. When I was old enough to go out and date, I did go into Boston because there were not very many African Americans in Boston. And some of the African Americans that I knew from Boston, I actually met on Martha's Vineyard.
Okay.
And that's where I spent my summers of my entire life.
Now, okay, as you are intro into Martha's Vineyard, how did you all get there? I mean, was it a lot of Black people going to Martha's Vineyards? Was it, the ink wells and all that? How did that start?
No, well, on my mother's side, her grandparents were from Lynchburg, Virginia.
Okay.
My great grandfather, Charles Sher, was born enslaved, the son of the plantation owner's son, and an enslaved woman, Matilda Giles. His father's name was James Sher. And when the Union soldiers were approaching his plantation, he said he wanted to be free and join the Union Army. He was born in 1854. So he was years old at that time. So he was beaten and put in the barn. The Union soldiers found him. They allowed him to travel with them. After emancipation as a young man, he worked as a laborer in Lynchburg, but then he enrolled and graduated from Hampton Agricultural and Normal School, which is now university. He graduated from Hampton in 1880, and he met his wife, Henrietta, who was a member of a free Black family. She also attended Hampton. They met there, and they lived in the Lynchburg area for a few years, and then they also moved north for a freer, better life.
Okay.
And they settled in Everett, Massachusetts, which actually is a neighboring town to Malden, but the families didn't know each other at that time.
Okay.
My great-grandfather was a head waiter at the Young's Hotel and the Parker House in Boston.
Which was a good job, I'm sure, right?
Excellent. And he was a college graduate, and that was a very good job for a Black man at that time. He joined the historic Tremont Temple, which is one of the very first churches in America with an integrated congregation.
Okay.
They had religious meetings on Martha's Vineyard. So he came to Martha's Vineyard to attend some of the religious meetings in the 1890s. And that's how he was introduced to Martha's Vineyard.
Now, when Martha's Vineyard, some of those islands off South Carolina, whatever, they have bridges. There's no bridge to Martha's Vineyard, so you gotta either bring your own boat, or were there ferries, do you think? Right.
Well, they had a horse named Dolly, and a buggy, and it took them 2 days to travel from Everett, Massachusetts to New Bedford, where they got the steamship. They spent overnight in Brogdon, Massachusetts. That's how they got to the island, by steamship. So when they bought their first home on Martha's Vineyard in 1895. And then in 1903, my great-grandmother, Henrietta, she bought a large piece of land. She wanted to help support her family's summers on Martha's Vineyard, and she opened a laundry. And the laundry specialized in fluting the petticoats that were worn at that day, the elaborate petticoats.
Okay, hold on. Say that again. Go ahead. Go back over that one. The petticoats. What now?
She opened a laundry
Yeah.
that specialized in fluting the very elaborate petticoats that were worn in the day. She laundered them.
Okay.
What made her business somewhat unique is that she also provided delivery service for her clients
I love it.
with the same horse and buggy that transported them to Martha's Vineyard.
I got you.
And the business was very successful. And in 1912, they built a large home with the guest rooms, with the dining room, with the tennis court. And Charles Sher, who was in the hospitality business, recognized the need to provide accommodations for African Americans who at that time were not welcomed in most of the establishments on the island. So he opened the inn, Sher Cottage, in 1912, and it thrived. It really did prosper. We had very, very many famous guests stay with us, including Harry T. Burley, who's credited with, transcribing the oral Negro spirituals.
Okay.
Dr. Solomon Fuller, recognized as the first African-American psychiatrist in the country, and his wife, Nita Fuller. Adam Clayton, the Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Sr., and his son, Adam Clayton Powell Jr., both of whom were pastors of the Abyssinian Baptist Church in New York. And of course, Adam Clayton Jr. went on to be a US congressman.
Right.
There were Madam C.J. Walker, the first female millionaire, Black or white, in America. Lillian Avanti, she's recognized as being the first internationally known opera singer. Roland Hayes, the first African-American to sing with the Boston Symphony Orchestra. And so the lists contain many illustrious, many well-known, distinguished guests.
Okay, let me stop you right there. Before they built that, where did the Black people live when they came on the island? What was available?
Basically, they would stay with friends. When my great-grandparents came, there were several families, maybe 4 or 5 African-American families who had homes on Martha's Vineyard. And for the most part, if you visited Martha's Vineyard and you didn't have a home, you stayed with your friends. And that's what many of them did with the Sherers before he opened the inn.
Okay, let me ask you, was there a certain part of the island that the Black people bought their homes on, like the Oaks Bluff or Eggertown? I mean, I know some of the names.
Right, they tended to buy in Oak Bluffs, the area around the Baptist Temple Park, which is where our family's property is. That's where they did tend to buy. And I think my thought is that in that community, there were some people of color. They were involved in the whaling industry. They were natives of the island. And I think that they were allowed and welcome to buy in the highlands of Oak Bluffs. And Dorothy West, the famous, author, her home was nearby. And there were several other African-American owned homes nearby Sher Cottage. There was an area that many of the first homes, not all, but many of the first homes owned by Blacks were in that area.
That the movie The Inkwell kind of made that part of that beach famous. Do you know why they call it the Inkwell, or is that in Oaks Bluff?
Yes, it is. It's in Oak Bluffs. I was told that a group of Blacks, maybe in the 20s, 30s, named it the Inkwell, the people who actually frequented the beach. And because it was the beach that Black people went to. So it was named in a loving way, not in any negative way.
Okay. Was there ever any confrontation between the Blacks and the whites on Martha's Vineyard where they saw that you all were coming and said, hold on, we're going to stop this, or you know what I mean? Any of that kind of thing?
I think we did quite well here. I think we learned to coexist and peacefully. I don't think there was a great amount of trying to keep people off of Oak Bluffs or off of the island, but you couldn't necessarily buy everywhere on the island. I mean, I think that was understood. But I would say as a child, we tended to coexist quite nicely. And the Inkwell Beach is where I wanted to go to the beach, whereas the beach right next to it was the quote unquote the pay beach. And that's where most of the young white kids went to. But most of the Blacks wanted to go to Inkwell Beach so that they could be with their friends.
Yeah, I got you. Is there something about Oaks Bluff, and again, I don't mean no disrespect, that made it less desirable? Why the white people said, okay, y'all can have that? You know how sometimes they put us in areas that the land is not as fertile, or the rocks on the beach are there. Is there anything about that per se?
I don't believe so. No, I think the areas in Oak Bluffs, East Chop area, which is where Sher Cottage is located, was always a very highly desirable area on Martha's Vineyard.
Now, the cottage has how many rooms? How big is it? That type thing.
Well, when it started out, there were 12 guest rooms. Meals were served. And not only were the guests served, but many Black families who lived in the area would make reservations at the inn for dinner because they enjoyed, the delicious food that was served, as well as the camaraderie of the guests that were staying there. So that was it. Sher Cottage really became the hub of the African-American community in the 20s and the 30s. It opened in 1912 and it continued to grow. People continued to want to be there and many of the families who stayed at the inn, like the Powells, the family of Adam Clayton Powell and the Fullers and the Sandwiches, they ended up buying homes on Martha's Vineyard.
I got you. Now, is there something special about the building because Black people built it that they did something to some little twerk to it? I know maybe even in the decor of the building that maybe they invented themselves, or they thought of, hey, we Black people, we want to have a dumbwaiter somewhere. You know what I mean? Is there something unique about it?
No, it was unique in that it had the look of the cottages. There's a look of Oak Bluffs cottage.
I got you.
Look with the gingerbread and the wraparound porches. There's certain features that are common in Oak Bluffs cottages. And that's what the inn had.
Was there something in terms of the furniture that they might have got? Does it have a Afrocentric feel back then? Was there an African flavor per se, any of that kind of thing?
No, it was more Cape, more islandy. If you looked at we're in the Smithsonian. We're delighted to be featured in the Power of Place in the Smithsonian. African American Museum of African American History and Culture in DC. Wicker furniture, very much that you would find in any of the Oak Bluffs homes.
I got you.
Beds. It's very country.
I got you. Are there photos of some of the famous guests? Do you all have a wall of photos, or you might want to, or you think we keep it private? What's that take?
Well, we do have photos. That's why I sent some of the photos to you.
Yeah.
One of the photos that you have was in 1931, and you'll see Adam Clayton Powell in it, and Lillian Avanti, as well as my great-grandfather, Charles Sher. Harry T. Burley is featured in many of our photos. They're on our website.
Yeah.
Cottage is currently closed now for a major renovation, but yeah, we do have those photos available on our website, and they will be, displayed throughout the cottage.
In this renovation, are you doing things like adding rooms to make it bigger and that kind of thing?
It will be bigger. We had 12 guest rooms initially when Sher opened. However, in the 70s, the family combined 2 of the guest rooms so that they all had kitchenettes and private baths. So right now we have 6 efficiencies, but we're going back to 12 guest rooms with private bathrooms, perhaps a wet bar. A couple of them may have kitchenettes, and it will be larger. The footprint will be larger.
I love it. How does this make you feel, that being a part of this kind of family, growing up with this rich history? Personally, how did you know what I mean?
It makes you feel very proud of it. I can't tell you. You mentioned when you emailed me, you said you can feel the passion. We are passionate about, our family is passionate about our grandparents, great-grandparents, however it falls, Charles and Henrietta Sher, who gets many odds, were able to establish this inn. I'm very passionate about the fact that my family kept it in their family. They were
that's a part of the next question I was going to ask you, because a lot of times businesses just don't pass down through that many. How many generations are you talking about?
All right, we have 6 generations on Martha's Vineyard, the Sher family on Martha's Vineyard. That includes my grandchildren and cousins' children. But the inn has been owned by 5 generations. My son Eric, the 5th generation, I'm the 4th. Yeah. He and I in now. So it's been passed down through our family. And I think that's what makes Sher Cottage quite unique, in that it has been owned by the same family since the property was first purchased in 1903. Same family owns it. And we still have the inn, which is still running. I mean, this year, because of COVID, we closed it, and we took this time to do the major renovation. Yeah, sure. And to open up 2022, 2023, the latest.
Did you all have some huge 100-year anniversary?
We sure did. We sure did. My mother, who lived to be 97 and was still very much the matriarch of the family, in January, she said, I think we should have a party to celebrate Sher Cottage's 100th birthday, 100th anniversary. And I said, sure, Mom. So we started to work on it. Unfortunately, she passed away that April, but we still had the 100th anniversary, September of 2012.
Yeah. As we kind of come to a close, are you familiar with other, let's say, African-American owned inns similar to yours that has such a rich history? Not just on Martha's Vineyard, but just somewhere across the country.
Well, I know, I saw a program that you had put on the air about the American Beach in Florida. Yep. And that, I think that probably had a very similar history with notables, people staying there. So what makes Sher Cottages unique, that we're still here and still owned by the same family. But I think there were many during the Jim Crow era, but a lot of them haven't lasted.
Yeah. Couple more questions that came to mind. The polar bears, they've been around for how long? And do you know a little bit of that history, some of their history? And what is it?
I know it was started by Carolyn Hunter. She started some years ago. I am not a polar bear, but many people are, and they love it. They come and they exercise and they pray and they have, gatherings on the beach, community breakfasts and whatnot. It's a very special part of the vineyard. And it's also featured, I believe, in the Smithsonian.
These questions keep popping up because you're doing such a great job. How about this? Back in the day, in the when it first opened, and in the 20s and 30s, was there a specific event that a lot of people came to Martha's Vineyard for? Was it always like the 4th of July was big, Labor Day was big, or was there an organization that had a big gala and all these dignitaries and African-American VIPs would come to the island? Is there any particular one holiday that,
I think the whole season was popular. It seemed to open Memorial Day and close in October 12th holiday. That was the season for Martha's Vineyard. And I came every Memorial Day as a child, and then the minute school let out, I was here from that time until Labor Day, till school started again. And my family, my kids had that same benefit, which is very, very special. The relationships that have been formed because of that are multi-generational.
Yeah.
My grandson who went to Michigan, his roommate, Evan, is actually the great grandson of Dr. Solomon Fuller and Meta Fuller. And my grandson is the great grandson of Charles and Henrietta Sher that started that opened the inn.
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of relationships that have gone multi-generational, that
Yeah.
have existed on Martha's Vineyard. And that is very special, very unique,
Yeah.
and very rewarding.
Is there a question that I have not asked you? Give us the website, and so on and so forth, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, the website is www.shercottage, SHERERCOTTAGE.com.
Right.
And you follow us on Instagram and Facebook as well. I think you've covered most everything, but one other thing that's very special to the family is my cousin Benjamin Ashburn.
Yeah.
He managed Commodores, and the Commodores came as a young group of fellows, honed their act for several summers before a friend arranged, Suzanne Dupass, a family friend, arranged an audition for them at Motown. And of course, at that point, it's all history.
Yes.
They spent many a summer at Sher Cottage with our family.
Yes. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Well, hey, everybody, I'm telling you, I find these interesting people somehow, and she knocked it out the box. She put it, man, because it's in her family. It's a beautiful thing. And so when you're open, I'm one of them off weekends where there's a room available. I want to come and hang out.
Oh, please do follow us. And when you're looking for accommodations or event space on Martha's Vineyard, please think of Sher Cottage.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so very much for coming on the show and sharing this information about your family as you went back to great grandfathers and the tailoring and so on and so forth. Because at the end of the day, what we get out of this is you can't keep us down. Black people still, you got this on, you put us in the chains and all that other stuff, and then we get a skill set and we get so proficient at it, we get wealthy at it. And then we push that down through our family and get the education and all that. That's some of the stories that we want to focus in on the channel, and that we do, and you brought to light so well in your family. I thank you so very much for that. Everybody, hit that subscribe button, hit the on the channel, hit the like button on this video, hit the notifications bell, because I'm putting 3-4 videos up a week. Hit the hit a bell. I don't care what bell. And then when that inn and cottage is open, hit that bell. Go to that website. Hang out on that island.
Thank you so much.
Support that Black-owned business. How about that one? And so to you, my sister, I say with all sincerity, I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind, keep that in your family. Keep it going. It's gonna be better too. I know y'all making it work. And so with all that, I say thank you so very much, everybody. We out. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.